Blow the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh comes, for it is close at hand, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and blackness. Like dawn spreading across the mountains, a large and mighty army comes, such as never was in ancient times, nor ever will be in ages to come. Declare a holy fast, call a sacred assembly, summon the elders and all who live in the land to the house of Yahweh, and cry out to Yahweh. Put on sackcloth, you priests, and mourn. Wail, you who minister before the altar. Come, spend the night in sackcloth, you who minister before Yahweh. Alas for that day, for the day of Yahweh is near. It will come like destruction from the Almighty.
In the quiet hours of the morning, I awaken with the word fester and the book of Joel on my mind. What is festering? Our sin, or Yahweh's anger, or both? I was pretty sure he wasn't referring to Uncle Fester. Or was he? Sanpaku eyes, the panda eyes, the ritualistically shaved bald head, witchcraft, the children, the creepy smile. Fester, a term that implies something that is worsening or rotting, often used metaphorically to describe a situation that is deteriorating or a problem that is becoming increasingly severe. The book of Joel, a prophecy that echoes through time, a message for today, a warning for tomorrow, a small book that carries a weighty message, a prophecy of judgment, a prophecy of the great and terrible day of Yahweh, locusts devouring the land, drought and fire causing despair and destruction, food supply dwindling. These are the signs, the warnings, the festering wounds of a world in turmoil. David knew in Psalm 38 that his wounds festered because of his sin. In verse 5, David states,
My wounds fester and stink because of my foolish sins. Because of your anger, my whole body is sick. My health is broken because of my sins.
What would the healthcare system look like if we turned to Yahweh, the Creator, the Healer, the one who judges and avenges, to address our sins and heal us? What would it be like if instead of turning to man and lab-made medicines to be cured, we turned to Yahweh? Can the one who made us not heal us? Yahweh clearly puts sickness on us and removes it for reasons that he clearly states in Deuteronomy 28:27. Due to disobedience.
Yahweh will strike you with the boils of Egypt, with the tumors, with the scurvy, and with the itch, of which you cannot be healed.
Exodus 15:26 and said,
If thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of Yahweh thy God, and wilt do that which is right in his sight, and wilt give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am Yahweh that healeth thee.
He also controls the weather. He uses it to punish and control, to avenge. Job 37:11 says, Yes, he loads the thick cloud with moisture. He spreads abroad the cloud of his lightning. It is turned around by his guidance, that they may do whatever he commands them on the surface of the habitable world. Verse 13 tells us, He brings the clouds to punish men, or to water his earth and show his love. Have you ever heard of HARP? No, not the kind angels play, this HARP. High-frequency active auroral research program. How about weather modification, chemtrails? The heavens and stars are to be for signs, knowing the time and appointed seasons. Have you heard about the moon rusting, stars dying, poles shifting? The Devil's Comet, now called the Mother of Dragons, in the Chinese Year of the Dragon. Have you heard of CERN and the 4D phantom they had contained in it? Or the God particle they claim to have found and the dark matter they are currently searching for? All of these things are happening before our eyes. Messing with Yahweh's creation, the weather and so on, is atrocious in and of itself, but it gets worse. Worse than most of us can ever even imagine because our minds are not depraved, like theirs. Joel 3 verse 2 and 3 points out the most atrocious acts, because it is against the children. All of this, along with abortion, I can see why Yahweh's anger is festering, can't you?
For they scattered my people among the nations and divided up my land. They cast lots for my people, and traded boys as prostitutes, and sold girls for wine so that they might drink.
But here again in every area, man has put his filthy, bloody hands, messing with the innocent children, our bodies, our temple, our minds, our souls, his word, the weather, the food, the earth, the moon, the sun, with every area of life. Why would Yahweh not be angry with this? Has he not punished others? Shall he not punish us? Taking a quick look at chapter 1 of Isaiah, we can see how our sin and rebellion towards Yahweh causes us literal and physical pain, like a disobedient child who gets disciplined for their bad behavior but continues to misbehave, knowing more discipline is coming. First 9 verses of Isaiah say,
Hear, heavens, and listen, earth, for Yahweh has spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knows his owner, and the donkey his master's crib, but Israel doesn't know. My people don't understand. Ah, sinful nation, a people loaded with iniquity, offspring of evildoers, children who deal corruptly. They have forsaken Yahweh. They have despised the Holy One of Israel. They are estranged and backward. Why should you be beaten more, that you revolt more and more? The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even to the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds, welts, and open sores. They haven't been closed, bandaged, or soothed with oil. Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire. Strangers devour your land in your presence, and it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. Hear the word of Yahweh, you rulers of Sodom. Listen to the instruction of Yahweh, our God, you people of Gomorrah. Unless Yahweh of armies had left us a very small remnant, we would have been as Sodom. We would have been like Gomorrah. And today, do we not see the signs? Our country has literally been invaded over the last several years by illegal immigrants. Our world is festering, wounds deepening, climate change, wars, famines, and pandemics. Are these not the echoes of Joel's prophecy? But Joel's message is not just one of doom. It is a call to action, a plea for repentance and change, for even in the darkest times there is hope. So let us heed the words that festered in my mind this morning. Let us learn from the book of Joel and be ready. We are not promised tomorrow.
Envision a day engulfed in shadows, where clouds gather ominously. This dawn is unlike any other. It signals the emergence of a formidable force, an immense army, unprecedented in history. The notion of escape becomes impractical in the face of their staggering power. Their appearance is as intimidating as war horses, their onslaught as unstoppable as a cavalry charge. Their noise is like the thunder of chariots over mountains, a sound as fierce as mighty flames consuming dry brush. Organized in battle lines, they embody discipline and fear. As they march, the earth shakes and the skies tremble. The sun, the moon, and stars will be darkened. The sight of this army spreads distress among all people, faces pale in horror. They advance with the force of warriors, overcoming obstacles with alarming accuracy. No defense stands against them. They penetrate cities, surmount barriers, and enter homes like thieves through the windows. Amidst this turmoil, the commanding voice of Yahweh resonates, directing his formidable legions. His might is unrivaled, his decrees definitive. For the day of Yahweh is not merely imminent, it is coming soon. It is a day filled with awe and profound dread, a day that raises the critical question, who can truly withstand it? No one. That is why Yahweh has to intervene. He has to send his Son to fulfill all that he has planned and written. Being the loving and gracious Father that he is, wishing that no one would perish but have everlasting life. Still, he gives us an opportunity here in the middle of Yahweh's coming destruction and vengeance. He still gives us the opportunity to call on his name and be restored, saved, and never again shamed or scorned. Yahweh tells us rend our heart back to him in verse 12.
Even now, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning. Rend your heart and not your garments. Return to Yahweh your God, for he is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love, and he relents from sending calamity.
Verse 15. Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the people, sanctify the assembly, assemble the elders, gather the children. Let the bridegroom go out of his room, and the bride out of her chamber. Let the priests, the ministers of Yahweh, weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, spare your people, Yahweh, and don't give your heritage to reproach, that the nations should rule over them. Why should they say among the peoples, where is their God? Yahweh replied,
I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the great locust, the grasshopper, and the caterpillar, my great army, which I sent among you. You will have plenty to eat and be satisfied, and will praise the name of Yahweh your God, who has dealt wondrously with you, and my people will never again be disappointed. You will know that I am among Israel, and that I am Yahweh, your God, and there is no one else, and my people will never again be disappointed.
Verse 28.
It will happen afterward, that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and your daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions, and also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. The sun will be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of Yahweh comes. Then in verse 32, it's very important to pay attention to what it says. It will happen that whoever will call on Yahweh's name shall be saved. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem there will be those who escape, as Yahweh has said, and among the remnant, those whom Yahweh calls.
In the powerful unfolding of the book of Joel, we reach a climactic prophecy that transcends time and place. As the scene shifts to the valley of Jehoshaphat, meaning Yahweh judges, the air thickens with the weight of impending judgment. Yahweh's voice thunders, promising to execute judgment on the nations for their misdeeds against his people and heritage.
For behold, in those days and in that time, when I restore the fortunes of Judah and Jerusalem, I will gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. There I will into judgment against them concerning my inheritance, my people Israel. For they scattered my people among the nations and divided up my land. They have cast lots for my people, sold boys as prostitutes and sold girls for wine so that they might drink. Now what have you against me, Tyre and Sidon and all you regions of Philistia? Are you repaying me for something I have done? If you are paying me back, I will swiftly and speedily return on your own heads what you have done. For you took my silver and my gold and carried off my finest treasures to your temples. You sold the people of Judah and Jerusalem to the Greeks, that you might send them far from their homeland. See, I am going to rouse them out of the places to which you sold them, and I will return on your own heads what you have done. I will sell your sons and daughters to the people of Judah, and they will sell them to the Sabaeans, a nation far away. Yahweh has spoken.
Thus setting the stage for a divine reckoning. The accusations are severe: the division of his land, the bartering of lives for mere indulgences. The imagery is stark, the injustice palpable. The scene intensifies as the prophecy unfolds. I will swiftly and speedily return your repayment on your own head, a dire warning to the oppressors of his people. The call to arms is as metaphorical as it is literal, urging the nations to prepare for war. The transformation of plowshares into swords and pruning hooks into spears symbolizes a dramatic shift from peace to conflict, reflecting the severity of divine judgment. As the narrative reaches its zenith, the valley of decision looms large, filled with multitudes awaiting their fate. In verse 12 of chapter 3, Yahweh thunders,
Let the nations arouse themselves and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the surrounding nations. Swing the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, trample the grapes, for the winepress is full, the vats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon are darkened, and the stars withdraw their shining. Yahweh will roar from Zion and thunder from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth will shake. But Yahweh will be a refuge to his people, and a stronghold to the children of Israel. The day of Yahweh is near, the prophecy warns, painting a vivid picture of cosmic upheaval where the sun darkens, and the stars withdraw their shining. Amidst this celestial turmoil, Yahweh's voice roars from Zion, shaking the heavens and the earth, yet providing a refuge for his people. The promise of restoration and purification is profound. In chapter 3, the last chapter in the book of Joel, we encounter a vivid depiction of devastation. The prophet Joel describes an overwhelming invasion, an event so catastrophic that it demands the attention of every generation. This scene is not merely historical, it is a profound metaphor for successive and escalating challenges. Through Joel's ancient words, we are reminded that the lessons of the past are blueprints for the future. The locusts, swarming, great grasshoppers, and caterpillars, each devour what the last left behind, leaving nothing but desolation. This relentless destruction mirrors the successive crises humanity faces today: environmental degradation, social upheaval, economic instability. As the locusts leave no leaf unturned, so too must we scrutinize and address the roots of our contemporary crises. Let us not ignore the echoes of warnings, but instead, let us confront our challenges with the wisdom gleaned from these age-old prophecies. The ancient scriptures of Joel resonate deeply with our contemporary crises. Just as Joel summoned a solemn assembly at the temple to voice their despair, infused with a pressing need for repentance and urgent change, This reflection underscores the enduring significance of these ancient texts. They are not merely remnants of a bygone era, but a reflection of our current reality, compelling us to take immediate action before it is irreversibly too late. Not just for the planet, but most importantly, we must take action before it is too late for us. The door will be shut. Yahweh warns there will be a time when it will be too late to turn back to Him. He said to them, "Make every effort to enter through the narrow door, because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to." Luke 13:24. He has told us that the day will come when once the owner of the house gets up and closes the door, you will stand outside knocking and pleading, "Sir, open the door for us." But he will answer, "I don't know you or where you come from." Luke 13:25. And while they were going away to make the purchase, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding feast, and the door was shut. Matthew 25:10. We all have times in our life when we are confronted with the truth. We have the choice to refuse or receive, a choice that each individual has to make. It is not Yahweh's fault or your mama and daddy's fault. No one dies without the opportunity to hear the truth and return to the Father's love. There is so much to be said here. They have divided Yahweh's land and sold His children as prostitutes. This is literally today. As we are preparing for a world war, if we are not already in it, we see the tensions building in an area we really do not know much about. We are told to pray for Israel and stand for them no matter what, because it is the Holy Land. I am not going to pretend I understand this conflict, but I will say that Jacob Rothschild claims his family created, funds and owns the Israel we know today. They say follow the money. Well, they have a lot of it. They're not the only ones. Next issue addressed here is that of prostituting and selling of children. We have seen in the news over the last few years just how dire this situation is. I know it is hard to believe the true evil behind the ability to do this to innocent children for greed and lust. But yes, sadly, this is where we are today. Babylon is falling.